Hello, everybody. There is some very, very, very potent energy in the collective right now. We are just entering the post-Mercury retrograde shadow period. I talk about this on my Patreon as well. There is a lot happening in the collective in terms of how we are handling ourselves and situations and even old triggers that happen to be coming up at this time. There's a real sense of being grounded enough to know what you don't want to fall back into. And that is one of the most important realizations that we can have on our ascension journey, on developing our better boundaries for clearing and healing our chakra systems. People and situations and things that are attachments often dim our energy, and they bring us down with them, to their vibrational level. And there's something shifting within us that is not allowing that to happen. There could be sudden, shifts and changes and connections that have been around for ages because their time is up. They've literally expired. And the reason why their time being up is feeling more effective is because you've actually learned the lesson. Everybody's in your life either for a reason or for a season, right? And when their season is up, but you haven't learned the lesson, that cord lingers. And there's always this open door for them to keep coming back around and teaching you the lesson that you just, for some reason, aren't learning. And we see this happen most profoundly and most acutely in the divine masculine collective, but that doesn't mean that the divine feminines don't go through this either. Sometimes, we think that we are as ascended as we can be at this point, and we are being as mindful as we can be and doing all the right things, but there's always some blind spots that Mercury retrograde helps us see. And if you look into your birth chart and you see Saturn retrograde anywhere, that is going to be the biggest indicator of what karmic lessons you are going through right now. You might be just coming out of a period where something that you did aeons ago that you probably don't even remember, never paid that much attention to past that point, comes back around. Or it came back around and you learned some very important but difficult and harsh lessons from those experiences and activities. So pay attention to what you're being asked to learn, because we are all on some sort of karmic journey all the time. And there's something that our souls are asking us to pay attention to. And the sooner we figure out what that is and we learn that lesson and we integrate it, the faster you can move on from it and the less painful or drawn out it has to be. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening in the collective right now. So we're going to be using the Marielle Tarot, the second edition, to talk about this. What energies do we see coming through here? We have the Eight of Discs and the Ten of Cups out right away. You are invested in your emotional fulfillment now. And look at how similar the colorations on these cards are. We have the red for the orangish red for the sacral chakra. We have this gold that is not only the solar plexus, but that can be your aura, the divinity that's trying to penetrate and enter your aura here. And if you look at the disparity between the brightness of this background versus this end of this card, you can see how there's dark spots. You can see how there's areas that have been dimmed. You can see how there are, traces of things that you don't really want to see there in order to get the full pop, right? And so now that you have become invested in clearing out what isn't bringing you joy anymore. There's a huge, huge, huge shift out of stagnation that's happening. We had the Knight of Discs fly out there. We have the Seven of Discs. You have the Star. You have the Knight of Cups and the Ace of Swords. And the Ace of Swords in this spread is probably one of the most powerful clarifier cards for this Knight of Cups that we could have asked for, that's initiated by the Star. Because the Knight of Cups is somebody that is very considerate and, that makes nice gestures towards people. They're very cognizant of how they're emotionally impacting others, but they don't necessarily always speak up when they should. They don't necessarily always keep the boundaries that they need to. If they see somebody being invasive, if they see somebody that is really trying to push their buttons, they really are this eagle here, and they try to soar above. But some people are really emotionally immature. They're just immature in general in how they handle things, and then they consider that to be either their weakness, or that, oh, this person doesn't have this quality or this strength, and they start to project their own shortcomings onto the other person. So basically, the Knight of Cups is somebody who is kind and generous, and whose boundaries often get tested by people who are just frankly immature. Even if they may be, advanced in chronological age, they might not always behave in the most mature manners. But with the Ace of Swords, it's like this realization, this breakthrough, and this healing is happening to where, you're kind of putting that desire to always be respectful on the back burner, and you're just kind of saying, well, if this is what you're asking for, then this is what you're going to get. If this is the side of me that you want to see, then that's the side of you you're going to get, right? And that is actually bringing about a huge kind of like an earthquake or a tower moment in existing connections, because now the way that you're responding to them is changing, which means the dynamic is going to be shifting, right? They can't keep responding in old ways if you're not giving them the catalyst for the old ways. There's something else that's bubbling out here. So everybody's outlook, paradigm is going to be shifting over the course of time. If you notice, this Knight of Cups has a white lotus blooming out of their cup, and the cup, it looks like it's either bleeding or overflowing. But this is your deepest connection to yourself, and it also talks about ancestral wounding and ancestral healing. Lotuses signify generational ties, blood ties within families, especially with their long stems here. And it seems to be stemming from what she's holding near, somewhere on this bridge between the sacral and the solar plexus. So probably close to where her navel would be. Maybe it's a little too high for the navel, but that's kind of the idea that we get here. And when you break this pattern of how you're responding to people around you and how you're responding to what is being thrown at you, you're breaking ancestral curses here. You're breaking patterns that you have internalized from generations past. How does that work? It's in your energetic DNA. Women are the ones who bear the children, right? Regardless of who the father is. The DNA of the mother comes from the DNA of her mother and of her mother and of her mother, because we are the carriers of the ovaries or the eggs that have genetic lineage energetic DNA. And that, combined with the DNA that we get from the father, creates a double impact, a double whammy on this child for those traits that they're not even consciously aware of, that they're now carrying within their energetic DNA, right? Let me know if you follow this. Let me know if this makes sense. This is exactly what you're breaking, because those people, your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, have gone through certain traumas, have had certain types of upbringings, have certain belief systems and perspectives, social norms, cultural norms that they have adhered to, that have been passed down to them from their previous generations, right? And we harbor all of that in the womb space. Why? Babies are affected by what is happening in the mother's environment while they're in the womb space. And by the time they're born, they're carrying all of that baggage with them energetically. They're not consciously aware of it, but you will notice babies that, were born of mothers who were in very high stress environments react very differently to situations that are stressful than babies who were born with mothers that were in emotionally more stable and healthier environments. And that's just from being present in the womb space before they've even physically entered the earth. But what happens when we are faced with anxiety, when we're faced with trauma, when we're faced with things that are good or bad? We have a certain reaction within our nervous system. That reaction within the nervous system isn't always just localized to the nervous system, especially if it's prolonged. Long-term stress, we all know, has health effects, right? Has adverse health effects. A long-term anxiety has adverse health effects. It starts affecting other parts of our body. You can develop things like chronic pain and other psychosomatic symptoms because of the state of your mental health. What is it doing? It's affecting your physical body. Now you're having biological symptoms for something that was originally only psychological or energetic. What happens? Those energetic DNA molecules, we'll call them, get embedded into your physical body and your reproductive system. And any child that you then bear will enter right into that physically. Making sense? Let me know in the comments if you're following. So when you have these realizations about how you are reacting or responding to certain situations, and you're breaking out of those patterns that you didn't even know were passed down to you through energetic DNA, that is called an ancestral curse breaker. You are now bringing a shift to the energetic DNA of your lineage, and you are elevating future generations. You're also catalyzing things for past generations. They may not be fully aware of it. Maybe this creates more distance between you and certain family members because they're not resonant with how this newfangled way that you're handling things, will say, right? But this is still bringing a change, and it's still bringing realization. So whether you even decide to have children or not in the future, that's okay. The fact is that with you, that curse just broke. That negative cord just got cut. And I feel like this is the energy that the collective is dealing with at this time. So all of those obstacles that you may feel like you've been facing or that may get thrown at you in the near future, just know you're going to skate right over them. There's no issue with that at this point because of how you have internally changed over this period of time. And if you are energetically connected to somebody, like say a divine counterpart that you have a spiritual and energetic tie to, you can bet that they will feel this change and respond to it accordingly. If they are meant to remain in your life in any form, especially in the 3D, if you have some sort of unfinished business that's going to pull you guys back together, you can bet that they will ascend to meet you where you're at on your timeline. And we talk more in depth about those things on my Patreon. So for an extended version of this reading, hop onto my Patreon. I'll leave all the information in the descriptive box below, in the video description box. All my other platforms are also going to be listed there. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, if you want to purchase a reading from me, if you want to participate in the specials that I offer throughout the week, that the video description box is the place to find all of my platforms and to follow me there. So I look forward to seeing you guys. Let me know in the comments how this reading hit, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday, and I hope you're having fun preparing for the one that's next. Bye now.